in here and we work. It's the hustle and bustle of New York City. It's starting to get chilly. That's the time to hunker down and really get your hustle on. I'm in the studio today with a super dynamic lady. Her name is Tiffany Pham. Tiffany, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what your current passion is? What are you working on?
Of course. Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm Tiffany Pham, as you said, founder and CEO of Mogul.
Yes.
And Mogul is a platform that enables millions of women all around the world to connect, share information, and access knowledge from one another. And that in itself is my passion, enabling information access around the world. It's what I vowed since I was a very young girl to do.
Wow. So wait, so let's just talk about, how did you even come to that inspiration as a very young girl? Did you feel disconnected, or you just decided one day, look, this is going to be my life's work? I think, first of all, a lot of folks, I had a call this morning with an entrepreneur who had a cool idea, but I said, why are you doing this idea? Because it really just seemed that he wanted to get on the entrepreneurship wave, the startup wave. But for you here talking and saying to me that you had this inspiration from such a very young age, that's like an epiphany that young. Tell me how you got to that epiphany.
Definitely. I think ultimately was inspired by my family.
Right.
Because many members of my family had worked to provide information access to the world in different ways. From my great uncle, who had run the equivalent of The Economist of Vietnam, to my father, who had worked with various governments throughout Europe, also working in terms of media to provide information access.
Right.
To then ultimately my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
She inspired me the most because she had run newspapers across Asia to fight against propaganda, working to provide information access to those around her in need.
Right.
And that ultimately is what inspired me to want to follow in her footsteps and work to provide information access like her.
Right. Speaking of your grandmother, doing some research, she passed away when you were 14, is that right? And you made a promise to her that you would dedicate your life to caring for the family legacy. Legacy is a big word, especially when you're a youngster and you have that kind of amazing background already. So, they've already paved the way, they've laid the groundwork and the foundation for an incredible media legacy already. How do you fit into that? How do you fit into that trajectory, and how do you make good on that promise to your grandmother?
I suppose at the beginning, all I knew was that I wanted to follow in her footsteps, and I didn't quite know how that would take shape. But all I knew was that in order to fulfill this promise, I needed to know every facet of that industry inside and out. So after I made that promise when I was 14, all I could think of was, I have to know everything possible.
Right.
So applying to college, I said I would do this. Applying to graduate school, I said yet again, I know I should do this one day. I know I can do this one day.
Right.
And then subsequently ended up working across every facet of the industry possible, thinking about the industry in terms of business, strategy, content, creation and distribution, marketing and finance, strategy, operations, etc. Whatever it could be that I could learn, I would try to get my foot in the door and offer my help up for free to help as many people that I admired in the industry on their projects, so that ultimately I could learn from them across these various facets.
That's an incredible takeaway. So just the idea that you would offer yourself, your time, whatever ways that you could be helpful in return for this sort of priceless education from people that you admire. That's powerful. So basically, for folks that aren't familiar with Mogul, give us some high-level sort of statistics. What are the benchmarks right now that you're most proud of with Mogul?
Best benchmarks I'm proud of is that right now we're enabling 18 million women each week to share information and access knowledge from each other. And that I'm very proud of because right now only 15% of share of voice is currently women's voices. And what I mean by that is, so when you read op-eds, and even when you look at boards, for example, the composition of the boards, the composition of share of voice across op-eds, it's 15% women.
Yeah.
So by enabling women at the earliest stages of their lives to speak up, to share their insights, to have the courage and confidence to share their ideas, then I think that's a statistic I'm very proud of, that now we've enabled these 18 million to do so.
Wow. So you really 18 million voices on the platform. And what is the way that what do you think is the thread that really binds them together? Are they really sort of woven into the same thread that you have to just be part of this collective voice and collective consciousness that up to this point has definitely been sort of underrepresented, even as online is as ubiquitous as it's been. To hear a statistic that only 15% of that voice that's shared is a woman's voice. Do you think that that's really what brings people to this platform and brings them to be excited about sharing?
Definitely. I think first and foremost, what we like to think of as the typical girl on Mogul, the typical woman on Mogul, is that it's a woman who aspires to inspire,
Right.
who wants more across their life and career.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a result, it's a woman who wants to become the best version of herself as the best mother, daughter, friend, sister, wife,
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, best team player, best team leader.
Right.
And so, yes, these are the very same women, therefore, that would be inspired and aligned with the mission that we had to provide information access to all those around us in need. These are the women that wish to do so as well.
Right, totally. So, college, Yale, Harvard Business School. I went to Harvard undergrad. I did not go to the business school. But I kind of set out on my own trying to figure out my way between music, technology, everything that I loved. And you eventually ended up at CBS doing strategic initiatives alongside the president of digital. So was this one of these opportunities where you said, look, here's an opportunity for me to go in, learn as much as I can, and incubate this idea on how I really want to make an impact on the world? Was that the motivation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I felt that after business school, I was presented with a number of opportunities, amazing opportunities across so many companies, but this one in particular represented so many different intersections of different worlds,
Right.
from radio and TV to digital and offline, and then all of a sudden, through this, I might be able to find out the ways in which all of these various media monetized.
Right.
And then thereafter, in this way, I would also be able to impact as many people as possible across different sectors. And I think that's probably what inspires you as well, to be in so many intersections.
Yeah, for sure. What did you learn? What would you say was an awesome takeaway that you got around monetizing media? What do you feel like you learned about how it was happening when you were there and what you think it will be in the future?
I think what it really showed me was that monetizing, could be done through partnership.
Right.
Since at that time I was especially working on the partnership angle. And simultaneously, it could also be done in a different way. And what I mean by that is that at that time, obviously, I mean, even now, a lot of media is monetized through channels that are fully reliant on traffic.
Right.
And that becomes highly dangerous, of course. And we are looking at media properties now, some of the biggest ones that are so reliant on Facebook that with the quickest algorithm change will all of a sudden go downhill and tumble and then become worthless.
Right.
And so with Mogul, I knew that if ever I started this company, that therefore I'd find a way to monetize in a way that would be non-reliant on traffic again, and would actually be in line with our mission as well. And that's the case today, is we've become a highly profitable enterprise that's fully, though, reinforcing our mission, helping women, and not only doing so, but also providing free education to girls abroad in need.